Hello, everyone. You are welcome to today's lesson. And in today's lesson, we are going to have a look at the solution to the assignment that was given in lesson 2 of elective math SURDS. Okay, and the assignment is exactly what you have on your screens. Okay, so quickly, let's go and have a look at what the solution. I'll walk you through the solution. If you have any issues, please let me know. I will address all the major concerns. Okay, all the major concerns. However, after that, if you still have any pending or outstanding issues, don't hesitate to let me know. I've told you anytime, so in this case, we are going to read a question. Okay, and we know anytime we read questions, we have to make it a habit, okay, to underline the salient part. So what are we supposed? We are supposed to find the solution set. You underline solution set, very critical. So it means if your answer is not given in the solution set or the true set form, okay, or in the set form, you won't get the final answer score. So please take note. Okay, so after that, what do? You come and write solution. The assignment here is not necessary. Okay, so you have to write solution. If the question is not met, you number your solution. But unfortunately, the question is not numbered, so don't number your solution as well. So, however, you have to extract what is given. Okay, what you are supposed to find the solution set. So you write given this, and I said you can choose not to write given. However, what you have here is not a matter of choice. You are supposed to write it. Okay, so obviously we can see that we are dealing with a SURDS equation. Okay, at the normal circumstance, this should also be in brackets. Okay, this should also be in bracket because that's how the question came, the nature of the question, that's how the question came. So now if you have this particular one, when you extract is B half. Okay, remember whenever we are solving SURDS equation or SURD equation, we said the first step is to isolate a SURD term. So here we have two SURD terms. Okay, so we have to isolate one of them. And remember in lesson 2, I told you that it is better to isolate the positive one. Okay, the positive one, okay, SURD term. So this is a positive SURD term, this is a negative SURD term. So it means I will maintain the positive here and move these two other terms to the side. And that's exactly what I did here. I know that if I move, this will be positive and this will be negative. And you know, it is better we write the positive first, followed by the negative. So if you do that, that will give you M1. Okay, the next step is to square both sides. So this side contains a term, a monomial. Just put it in bracket. Square. This side too contains two terms. Put it in brackets and bring your square. However, we know that because this is a monomial, one term, and you have square root here and the square, and the coefficient of the square root, okay, which is your third here is what? 1. It means the square will get rid of the square root. So this will end up giving you what you have, your radical, which is y minus 3. Then when you square this, we have to use the concept of, okay, binomial square expansion. So we know that a minus b squared, okay, will give us a squared minus 2ab plus what? B squared. So in this case, my a is this. My b is what? 3. So a is root of 3y plus 4, and b is what? Is 3. So a squared will be the whole of this one squared. So I'm going to have, let me write it here so that you can really appreciate. So I'll get a squared will be root of what? 3y plus 4. Okay, all squared. But you know that if I square, the square will get rid of the square root. So it means I'll end up getting 3y plus 4. And that's exactly what you have here. Okay, so I'm doing that mentally. Then it will be minus, okay, twice the product of this and this. The product of this and this will give you 3 root of what? 3y plus 4. But twice that will be 2 times. So we are going to get twice. So it will be 2 times your a. And a is what? Is root of 3y plus 4. But that is not all. Then times b. And b is for 3. So you know that it will be 2 times 3, which is 6. Then times root of that, which will give you 3y plus what? 4 root of. So that's exactly what is here. So that was done mentally. So if you can't do it mentally, then you have to go through all that. Then plus b squared, and what is your b? 3. 3 squared will give you 9. So if you're able to do this, you get what? M2. Okay, when you get here, you get M2. Then after that, you can see that after squaring, please, are you following? My professors, are you following?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see that after squaring, okay, you still have a third, okay, term involved because you can see a square root still in play. And he said, whenever you encounter this situation, it means you have to kickstart, okay, the process from step 1 up to step 3. So you have to go and isolate again. So here, because this third term here is negative, it is better in your isolation, you move it to this side so that you make it positive. You should always avoid working with negative. Sometimes it can give you trouble. So by that, I moved this one to this side, which gave me positive root of what? 6 root of 3y plus 4. And that will be equal to, so it means this has been moved. Okay, so I have to move these two terms to come and join 1, 2, 3 terms here. So if I move, okay, I know that I already have 3y here. This y will move, and it will be 3y minus y, and that will give me 2y. Okay, and the constant here will move and come here. So it means this is going to give you 3 plus 4, then plus 9, which obviously will give us 16. So that is what, so as I move, I combine like terms as well. So I ended up getting 2y plus 16. However, here, I told you can square straight away, but anytime you realize that this equation that you are going to square, check if you can reduce, reduce. Remember that I made mention of this in lesson 2, in our previous lesson. Okay, check if you can reduce so that you will involve smaller values. Okay, and as you involve smaller values, it means indirectly, okay, you are going to avoid the use of calculators and your work will be very easy. You save time. So here I can see that 2 is a factor of the 6, is a factor of this, is also a factor of this. So I can divide through by 2 to reduce it. So if I divide this by 2, this by 2 will give me 3 roots of this. Okay, 3y plus 4 is equal to this over 2 will give me y. This over 2 will give me, okay, a. So you have to divide, okay, each term or through by what 2. And by so doing, you get this. So that will also give you m1. When you isolate and combine like terms too, that will give you your m1. Then at this point, you come and square. So in this case, if you square here, you are going to get what? You can see, you will get 6 squared 36, okay, which will be huge. And again, you will also come and square the 16. So 16 squared will give you a huge number. Okay, so that's why it is important to heed what advice, reduce before, okay, you square again. So after a reduction and squaring, I put the side, okay, in bracket, I square. Put the whole of this also in bracket and I square. So it means I'm squaring both sides. If I square, unfortunately, the coefficient is not 1. So it means if I'm squaring, I have to square the coefficient 2. So 3 squared, which will give me this, then times root of this squared, which will give me what I have here. Then this 1 squared is still binomial squared. So this will give you y squared, which is what I have here. Then plus, because this is plus, y is the product of this and this. So the product of this and this will give me 8y. Y is that will give me 60y. Then plus, okay, b squared, which is 8 squared, which is what? 64. Okay, so at this point, m2. Okay, then you have bracket here. You come and remove the bracket, which gives you this m1. But obviously, you can see that you are dealing with a quadratic equation. Okay, those of you who didn't reduce before expanding, at a point you will realize that your quadratic equation, you can reduce and you must reduce before solving. That will make your work very easy. Otherwise, you'll be involving bigger value here, which you are supposed to find factors. Okay, in that case, you will do a little more work. Okay, so if you expand, you know that you are dealing with a quadratic equation. So if y squared here is positive, you thank God. So it means you have to maintain all the terms here and move these two terms to the side. Okay, because your y squared term is with these terms and it's positive. So you maintain all the terms there and move the other term. So in my mind, I'm maintaining all the terms here. So I'll write y squared and I'm going to get what? 16y minus 27y, which will give me 11 minus 11y. Then I will get 64 minus 36, which will give me 28, and that will be equal to 0. So at this point, you know your usual, okay, quadratic equation. Because you can solve by factorization, don't use any other method. Okay, go for the factorization method first. Okay, it's only when factorization method fails that you resort to any of the two other methods, completing a square or quadratic formula. However, preferably quadratic formula when, okay, factorization fails. So indirectly, I am discouraging you from using the completing of square unless the question specifically tells you to use the quadratic, the completing of square, don't use it. Okay, use any of the two, provided, okay, factorize. As for factorization approach, okay, it is easy, but it has its own shortfall. It is not all equation that, okay, you can solve by factorization, but all equation you can either solve by completing of squares or the almighty formula. So if it's factorable, use the factorization method. Is my point well made?
Yes,
because
please.
it will save you time. That would be the ideal method. So at this point, you look for the factor pair of 28, which when you add, you get minus log. When you multiply, you get, okay, 28. And obviously it will be minus 4, minus 7. So you do that, you go and factorize, okay, then you say, so at this point, you are good to go. You should know. Okay, when you solve, where you set each of the factors to 0, very important. And this your connector here, or is very important. So you cannot move from here to the value straight away. And again, you cannot move from here, okay, to your factorization or your answer straight away. Please take note. Go through the factorization by grouping to get what up to this stage. Is that clear?
Yes, please.
Okay, so at this point, you know, like you were told, for certain equations, okay, you don't just conclude with your answers, you have to go and test. And we all know how to test. So if y is equal to 4, you come and substitute that into the original equation, not any of the transformed equation here, which could be wrong. So substitute that into the original equation. So wherever I see y, it is 4 in the original equation, I substitute. And I ask myself, is it equal to 0? So if I substitute 4 minus 3 will give me 1. So it will be root of 1 minus, this will give me 12 plus 4, which will give me root of 16. Then plus 3, is it equal to 0? And you know root of 1 is 1, minus root of 16 is 4, plus 3. And obviously we know that this will give us 0. Then you come and do same for the 7. So if y is equal to 7, you substitute and do exactly the same, okay, thing that we did here. And you realize that that will also give you, will satisfy, okay, or make the equation valid. So in this case, you draw your conclusion and it must be in the true set form. Take note. Okay, so this will be it for the solution. And everything here is supposed to be 25 what marks. No bonus marks. Okay, any questions before we move on to what we are supposed to do today? Any questions? Are we all fine? Especially Sayuram, are you fine?
Yes,
You
please.
can see that it's very easy. It's just the algebra. Okay, that you got it. But okay, I know that any question from this, any question that you see, you should be able to. When you are squaring, you have to be careful. If you square and you still have a third term, isolate, okay, and combine the other terms on the other side. As simple as that. Then your resultant equation you solve. If it's a linear equation, you solve. If it's a quadratic equation, you solve. Okay, and that will be it. Okay, so on this note, thank you very much. Okay, God bless us all.